Every single day, whether you realize it or not, you are building something. Not with bricks and cement, but with your choices, your effort, and your attitude. The shortcuts you take, the work you leave half done, the promises you break to yourself. They don't just disappear. They quietly shape the life you will wake up to tomorrow. And the hardest truth is this: when you cheat your work, you are not cheating anyone else. You are cheating yourself. Today's story is about an old carpenter, a man whose entire life was spent building beautiful homes for others. But the one house he built for himself became his greatest regret, and eventually, his greatest lesson for his sons. This story will make you pause and ask yourself a difficult question. What kind of house am I building with the way I live today? Stay with the story until the very end, because it carries a truth that, once heard, is impossible to forget. A long time ago, in the dusty lanes of a small farming village, there lived an old carpenter. His home was a modest two-room house. Cracked walls, a leaky tin roof, set at the very end of the village lane. He lived there with his wife and their two grown sons. But the old carpenter was no ordinary man. In his younger days, he had been one of the finest carpenters in the entire region. Landlords, merchants, and even government officials had sought him out to build their homes. His hands had shaped grand door frames, carved beautiful windows, and raised rooftops that stood firm through decades of monsoons. People said, a house built by this carpenter would outlast the man who lived in it. But if you looked at his own house, small, crumbling, and barely holding together, you would never believe it. His two sons had grown into young men with strong arms, but weak ambition. They worked at the farm of a local landlord, but worked was a generous word. The older one would arrive late, yawning through the morning hours. The younger one would leave early, always finding an excuse. A headache, a sore back, a festival he had forgotten about. Together, they did in a full day what a single honest worker could finish before lunch. The landlord was a patient man, but even his patience had its limits. Every few weeks, he would walk down to the carpenter's house, sit on the old wooden bench in the courtyard, and say, "Brother, your sons treat my farm like a resting place. They don't reach on time. They leave work unfinished. Sometimes they don't even show up. If they were anyone else's sons, I would have sent them away long ago." The old carpenter would listen quietly, apologize, and promise to talk to them. And he did, many times. But his words fell like rain on stone. The older son would shrug. The younger one would nod and forget. Nothing changed. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the neem trees and the village fell into its golden quiet, the old carpenter called both his sons into the courtyard. His wife brought out tea, and the old man sat on his favorite cot, rubbing his calloused hands together. "Sit," he said. His voice was calm, but heavy. "I want to tell you something I have never told anyone." The brothers exchanged a look. Their father rarely spoke about himself. "Do you ever wonder," the old man began, "why we live in this house? This small, broken house, while I spent my whole life building grand ones for others?" The older son leaned forward. The younger one set down his tea. "Let me take you back 30 years, their father said. "I was the most sought-after carpenter in this region. I built the landlord's old bungalow. I built the village schoolhouse. I built homes that families still live in proudly today. I loved my work. Every joint I cut, every beam I raised, I did it as if I were building a temple." He paused and looked at his hands. Then, After nearly 25 years,
I stood there holding that key, and I felt my heart sink into the ground. The house I had built with laziness, with shortcuts, with carelessness, that house was mine. I would live in it. My family would live in it. Every crack in those walls, every crooked nail, every weak beam. I had done it to myself. He looked at his sons. His eyes carried 30 years of regret. That is this house, the one you have lived in your whole lives. The house that leaks every monsoon. The house with doors that don't close properly. I built it, and I built it badly, because I forgot the one truth that matters. He leaned forward. As you sow, so shall you reap. The courtyard fell silent. Even the crickets seemed to pause. My sons, the old carpenter said softly, you think you are working for the landlord. You think your laziness only cheats him. If you think this way, then you are wrong. Every careless day, every half-done task, every shortcut you take, you are not cheating him. You are cheating yourselves. You are building your own house, and one day you will have to live in it. He placed a hand on each of their shoulders. Never do anything half-heartedly. Every nail you hammer, every word you speak, every task you complete, do it with honesty and your full heart. The future depends on what you do in the present. Do not wait for tomorrow to become the men you are meant to be. That night, neither son slept well. Their father's words echoed through the darkness like temple bells. The next morning, for the first time in years, both brothers were at the landlord's farm before sunrise. They worked through the heat without complaint. They finished every task they were given and asked for more. The landlord watched from his veranda, astonished. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. The brothers who once couldn't be bothered to show up on time were now the hardest workers on the farm. And slowly, their lives began to change. The older son was entrusted with managing an entire section of the fields. The younger one was offered a small plot of land to cultivate on his own. Within a few years, they had saved enough to rebuild their father's house. This time with strong wood, straight walls, and doors that closed properly. When the old carpenter walked through the new rooms, tears running down his weathered face, he whispered, "Hard work never goes unrewarded." Think about this for a moment. How many times have we done something carelessly, telling ourselves it doesn't really matter? Maybe it was a task at work we rushed through, a relationship we didn't invest in, or a promise to ourselves we quietly broke. In that moment, it feels harmless. But just like the carpenter's crooked nails and cheap wood, every careless choice quietly becomes part of the life we are building. The beautiful part of this story is that it doesn't end with regret. It ends with redemption. The carpenter's sons heard the truth, and they chose to change. They didn't wait for the perfect moment. They didn't make grand promises. They simply showed up the next morning, earlier, with more effort, and with honesty in their hearts. And that one decision, repeated day after day, rebuilt not just a house, but an entire future. Dear ones, this story of the old carpenter and his sons carries a truth that applies to every single one of us. Every day, whether we realize it or not, we are building the house we will live in tomorrow. Our work, our habits, our choices, our integrity. These are the bricks and beams of our future. When we cut corners, when we give less than our best, When we tell ourselves it doesn't matter, we are hammering crooked nails into our own walls. And one day, we will have to live inside those walls. It is never too late to start building with care. You don't need to change everything overnight. You just need to change how you approach the very next thing in front of you. The next task, the next conversation, the next choice. Build it as though it is yours, because it is. Your career, your relationships, your health, your character. You are the one who will live inside all of it. So here is a simple question to carry with you. What kind of house are you building today? Give your best. Not because someone is watching, but because the life you are building is yours. Until next time, be patient, stay grateful, and remember, build your life with love, because you are the one who will live in it.